Everyone in this town has been exactly where you are right now.
I love this show called From, on Epic. It is a stellar masterpiece for many reasons. These type of shows come along rarely. Shows like The Mist, Snowpiercer, Lost, or Twin Peaks. The show is mysteriously majestic because of the plot and the characters within it. This to me is where the show shines, and this is where I'm going to focus my discussion on today, the characters in this town. But before I begin my discussion, please, if you're new, subscribe and like, thanks. Let's begin our discussion by examining the characters in this town and what their various roles means for those who are watching this show. One of the reasons why I find these shows so intriguing is because it shines a light on behavior of people within situations that are problematic, but how the problems they face are exacerbated by their own hands. Let me explain. But before I begin, let me warn you, this might get a little bit dark. Let's introduce some of the characters. The show stars Harold Perrineau as Boyd Stevens, Ian Bailey as Jim Matthews, Catalina Sandino Moreno as Tabitha Matthews, Hannah Cherami as Julie Matthews, Avery Conrad as Sarah, and Ricky He as Kenny Liu. This is just some of the characters. We'll go over more when we discuss some of their parts. Here's a summary of the plot, for those who may not know. From is a mystery of a nightmarish town that traps all those who enter. As the unwilling residents fight to keep a sense of normalcy and search for a way out, they must also survive the threats of the surrounding forest, including the terrifying creatures that come out when the sun goes down. Now that we understand the plot, let's dive into some of the characters and their behavior. What I find intriguing and baffling are the characters in this town. They're in a strange new world with horrors around them. They're trapped in a situation they don't know whether they're going to get out of, with monsters and strange things happening all around them, plus their lives can be taken from them at any minute. But did the townspeople band together? Did they dump the very things that can get them out of the situation, like deception and other destructive behavior? No, and this gets apparently more clearer as the series goes on, and because of this their situation gets far worse. For example, take the character Frank Pratt. Frank Pratt is the town drunk, with a wife and child. Frank, being a drunk, put everyone in danger, and should have been an immediate red flag for everyone in the town. They should have rallied around Frank, to help him adjust it any way they could, using all their power and ability to try to stabilize him. You may ask why. Because Frank's instability put everyone in that town at risk. Of course, Frank's alcoholism led to his wife and daughter being slaughtered by the creatures, and put an extra burden on the town as they had to execute him in a way that was barbaric and brutal. I would like to say the situation for the people in this town gets better, but as we know, people have a tendency to take their baggage with them wherever they go. The same can be said for the people in this town. Take for example the next character, Donna. Donna is the head of the Colony House. Colony House is a large home in the town that's on a hill. It's a community home that houses many of the people that get trapped in the town. On the surface that may not sound so bad, but what the Colony House represents is two separate factions in the town. That's right. The town is divided. You have the people who live in the town, and you had the people who live in the community home on the hill. A quick side note, the people in this town did not own, or build, any of these homes. Plus the homes look like they were constructed by something else, and for the people to fight for property that they don't even own, is insane. Of course it gets better. To solidify this divide and the animosity that will of course come from it, they have these rules that are not based on any sort of unity or safety. Nope, quite the opposite, because newcomers must pick where they want to live. They must either choose between the community house on the hill or to live in the town, but once they choose they can never change their mind. Of course this leads to families being broken apart, and hostilities. Things only get worse for the people in the community house. The community house has a rule, live for today, which means it's a self-serving house, where everybody indulges in whatever they feel for that moment. But there's one big problem with community house. Let me explain. The creatures in this town seem to be immensely powerful, able to rip apart a person with their bare hands, but they have one weakness: they can't come into a house unless they're invited. That's right. The house is compromised only if one person invites the monster into the house. Notice how I said just one person? Yep, that brings us back to community house. Community house is a large home that houses many people. It's still just one large home, and it only takes one person to invite one of these creatures in. For everybody in the community house to be slaughtered. To make matters worse, the people in the community home daily partake in recreational substances and alcohol. What can go wrong?
Megan, what are you doing?
Maybe I can come in.
I really love this show because it shows how powerful and destructive disunity is, and how humanity, if facing a mystery, would we morph into something better to overcome that problem, or will we retrogress into something more monstrous? As world events stand today, I wonder. I will end this with a quote from Donna Maltz. It says, "The more polarized we become, the weaker humanity becomes." And I guess that could be true for both reality and fiction. Thanks for watching.